In this episode, we're focusing on the Otoshikomi technique. Let's go! The Otoshikomi technique originated from the prefecture of Kyushu in southern Japan and has been gaining popularity in the past decade. We've been getting a lot of interest in our Otoshikomi boat rods, so why not we talk about it in a video? The Otoshikomi technique is a great way to fish vertically through different water columns. This keeps your fishing quarters tight, so you won't have to worry about any line crossings with your neighbors. The Otoshikomi technique uses the concept of hook chain in fishing. This is done by using an Otoshikomi rig, which is basically a sabiki rig with stronger hooks. First, we drop the sabiki rig into the top to middle columns for bait. Once we get strikes, we do not reel them up. Instead, we lower this bait-filled sabiki rig further down to the lower columns and look for their predators. This theory is actually very interesting and brings about a few merits. Instead of using a frozen bait or a live bait bought from the store, you use a live bait that was originally in the waters of your target fish. Naturally, this is your target fish's most common food source. If you use that as your live bait, you are making sure that the bait is what your target fish prefers the most. Also, because you don't bring the live bait up and rehook them onto another setup, the chances of them dying on you when being thrown back into the water is lesser. This will help present the fish in its most natural form. The idea of the Otoshikomi method is to present a few baits which are swimming in a weakened state, in a school of baits. This makes the predator think that your baits are more vulnerable and easier to hunt than the others. Otoshikomi's potential is huge, but getting it right takes specialized gear. Let's see how Shimano's technology changes the game. To achieve this, Otoshikomi rods offer greater lengths, usually between 2.1 meters to 2.5 meters, and a slower taper action. The longer lengths and slower taper are what allow the live baits to swim more naturally in the water. The slow taper means there's lesser chances that the hook tears through your bait. Another important reason why a slower taper works better is for bait detection. Because you won't be reeling the bait in, you need to rely on the rod to tell you if you have successfully hooked on to any baits before lowering the entire rig to the water columns below. Number 2. The rod must be strong enough in case you end up getting larger live baits, which might lead to larger catches. To this regard, we recommend going up in rod action from L light to H heavy. Some codes are trickier to read, like our Arciera Otoshikomi 64M/MH245. What this means is that the rod has a taper of 6.4 with a tip action of medium and a butt action of medium heavy at a length of 2.45 meters. Wait, can't I do this on a jigging rod, you might ask? Well, yes and no. While jigging rods are lighter because of the lower glass content in the blanks, they don't exactly provide the taper needed for good bait presentation when you lower the rig to the water columns below. There is also a risk that you hook on a fish that's larger than expected. It's going to be a long and tiring fight to lift the fish up to the surface and out of the water. If you must try the Otoshikomi technique using a jigging setup, I would recommend a slow jigging rod with at least 6 feet 6 inches of length, like our Grappler BB Type Slow J, the B66-3 model, to try light Otoshikomi techniques on. But if you find yourself using heavier weights, like 150 grams and above because of current situations, right? Coupled with the bait being 30 grams to 100 grams per bait, you're much better off using a proper Otoshikomi rod. So, we know lighter Otoshikomi games can be done on slow jigging rods. But when is it too heavy to do Otoshikomi? Because you're using sabiki rigs, the general rule of thumb is to use as small of hooks as possible and as thin of lines as possible. This is so that the rig doesn't end up being too suspicious to the fish. But if the target fish you're aiming for requires a leader line that's thicker than 80 to 90 pounds, I recommend switching to oyogase or single live bait method instead. I also recommend switching to oyogase if baits are few and far in between. Instead of using multiple baits, switching to a single bait might work better. This is because if all there is are multiple vulnerable baits out in the open, it will be more unnatural compared to having just a few vulnerable ones amongst a school of healthy fish. You can find out more about this oyogase or live bait technique in this video here. Now, let's talk about the different types of Otoshikomi rods Shimano currently has. Starting off with the latest Realancer. You then have the Bandit, Arciera, Beastmaster, and ending off with the Chermare on top. All the rods in the Otoshikomi series feature stainless steel frame with SIC rings in the guide systems. The Bandit Otoshikomi features a light model for those who would like to try out Otoshikomi technique without breaking the bank. It also has heavier models and comes in a two-piece structure with a butt joint. The double X structure, Spiral X core and High Power X, gives the blanks the same strength as that of Shimano Otoshikomi. The tip is made with UD glass material, ultra durable, to give it its durability and sensitivity without weighing down on the rod too much. Just take note that the light model, the Light 215, features an EVA bottom, while the other SKUs have the large fishing bottom. This is because you're likely going to be landing the fish by gripping the rod under your armpits with the light model instead of placing it at the belly. Now, if you're looking for something even more affordable, the Realancer Otoshikomi, which is going to launch in 2025, is probably your best bet. They also feature light to heavy models. One of the key differences with the Bandit is that the blank structure is being constructed with Spiral X and High Power X instead of Spiral X core. Still strong and reliable, but the Bandit will outshine the Realancer in terms of blank strength. The Realancer's light model also comes with a lightweight EVA bottom for easy gripping under the armpits. The rest of the models, though, do not come with the large fighting bottom. So when you're aiming for larger fish, you're looking at using the hold position instead of fighting it in the standing position. Unlike the Bandit's butt joint structure, the Realancer uses a mid-joint two-piece structure instead. Lastly, the reel seat on the Realancer Otoshikomi is a multi-fit, which is different from the other Otoshikomi rods, which feature an aluminium reel seat with a double nut screw for maximum grip. Going up the ladder from the Bandit is the Arciera, Beastmaster, and Chermare Otoshikomi rods. These rods have their guides in gold. They also feature aluminium reel seats with a double nut screw for the grip on the reel. These three names also use the tough butt ferrule, which provides significant increase in strength from the joint to the butt section. This is done by joining a thicker ferrule to the blank that penetrates the reel seat. Now, the main differences between these three, Arciera, Beastmaster, and Chermare, are the blanks construction. The Arciera Otoshikomi adopts the double X structure, Spiral X core and High Power X. The Chermare Otoshikomi has the muscle core, which uses a carbon core for reinforcement at the butt of the rod. The Beastmaster Otoshikomi uses something called the High Power X Full Solid. Think of it as the high power wrapping technology adapted onto a full solid rod to suppress twisting loads. Featuring a full solid rod also means that the Beastmaster is the heaviest across all Otoshikomi rods. If you're thinking of maximum durability, this is the rod to go for. The most premium Chermare Otoshikomi offers a better user experience with its redesigned power fighting bottom for maximum comfort during standing fights. The newly designed carbon hold position for extra rod holder grip, and the improved nut structure on Shimano's original aluminum seat. So, as a summary, look at the Bandit if you're thinking of trying out Otoshikomi. If you're on a tighter budget, go for the Realancer instead. If you have more to spare, the tough butt ferrule upgrade to the Arciera makes a lot of sense. If you don't mind something heavier for more strength and tenacity, the Beastmaster Otoshikomi is the way to go. But if your budget isn't much of a concern and you want a feature-packed model, the Chermare Otoshikomi is a rod you want. And there you have it. That's all you need to know about the Otoshikomi technique. Have you tried this technique before? If you have, share your experience in the comments below.